For Rosemary, going to answer one of your questions today, hopefully a little bit further about the donkey issue.
The donkey.
So,
What donkey issue? Oh, okay.
oh, yeah,
I
that's,
remember now. I remember.
okay.
I didn't know you had a donkey issue.
Well, yeah.
I just have goat issues.
Well, you can use a goat along with the donkey.
Yeah?
Yeah, so we'll get to that towards the end.
Oh, okay.
Because it is quite interesting. Because I did study that this morning a little bit. So that was just a question Rosemary had on Thursday. So, okay, the Torah portion today is Exodus 10:1 through 13:16. And it starts off with the 8th and 9th plagues, locusts and darkness. Okay, and so, and I've talked about those, especially darkness, in the past. So, and even the locusts, we talked about that a few weeks ago. So let me open up with a word of prayer. Father, with praise and glory, thank you for this Shabbat. Thank you for this time. And I just continue to ask you that our communications will be in good order, and we won't have any problems. And just ask that as you give us wisdom and understanding in regards to what we're going to be reading today, we seek your face and your understanding. In Yeshua's name, amen. Okay, let's go to Exodus 10:1. Exodus 10:1. Oh, I had my place and I just
Oh,
lost.
you pulled it. Oh, no.
I think I can find it again. I'm getting close. We passed it. There. No, I'm closer. Oh, okay. Let's see. I got one more chapter to go. One more page to go. And there we are. Exodus 10:1.
You are chipper, David.
I am there.
Yes, you're chipper. You're even chipper on the phone.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Well, Marla, I tell you what. Why don't you read me or read for us just verse 1, if you would, please.
Okay. Okay. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, "Go into Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his servants, so that I show these signs of might before him."
All right. Now, I know we've talked about this multitude of times. And so, and what it is about the hardness of the heart of Pharaoh. Because this whole account in Exodus begins with Yahuwah speaking to Moshe and saying, I'm going to harden his heart. And generally, if you don't study this out to its extent, its full extent, so to speak, you have this understanding, or because this is what I had 30 years ago, 35 years ago, was, that why would the Father do that? Why would God do that? Why would he harden Pharaoh's heart? What's the purpose? That just seems anti-productive to a degree, which it still does to some aspect. But the point is that we need to really firm up in our own thinking is that he says he's going to do a particular thing.
He's going to do it.
And we have to expect him to do that. So, did Pharaoh have a choice?
No.
No. And that's where people get hung up. Because they think Pharaoh had a choice. And he did not. And that was right from the beginning, when Yahuwah was speaking to Moshe. I'm going to do this. So now the other question comes up is, why? Why harden Pharaoh's heart? Why continue to harden Pharaoh's heart? Because now we're coming down to the last, plague, or the last miracle, so to speak. And his heart, in the 10th one seems to get little lesson. He's ready to let just the men go to worship, but then he relents. But in this passage, in verse 1, it says it's not only the heart of Pharaoh, but it's the heart of his servants also. Now, if you remember, in the 7th plague, Pharaoh's servants, or his magician, says, "This is the hand of the God of the children of Israel. You better let them go." Well, something happened between that time and this particular time with the 8th plague that they were convinced, or became convinced, that this God really doesn't have that power or that authority. And so now we're in the final push. Now, how many of these people do you think knew, including Pharaoh, knew that they were getting down to the final time of, when they would definitely boot out or kick out or push out the children of Israel? Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Well, Moses would have known, but I don't know if Pharaoh got it. He was told,
Yeah.
if you don't let my people go, I'm going to kill your firstborn.
Now, when was he told that?
In the beginning.
In the beginning. The first time when Moses went up to Pharaoh, he let him know
Yeah.
that if you don't let us go, your firstborn is going to die.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
But it's been a little while since then. And
Right,
he
it-
may
it-
go, well, he's probably not going to do that.
and that's could be, but whether Pharaoh really understood what Moses was saying, because that is quite unique.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, that is quite unique to kill your firstborn off, and just your firstborn.
Right.
Okay, and I don't think a lot of people, huh?
Pharaoh didn't have a choice anyway.
No, he didn't have a choice.
He didn't have a choice. So even if everything in his mind is saying, no, I got to do this, but his heart is hardened.
Right.
So, I mean, there was, even if he knew that was going to happen, his heart was still hardened, right?
Right. Correct.
So he couldn't choose that.
And another thing to remember is that it was already prophesied to him of what was going to happen.
Yep. Yep, it was.
So if that was already spoken or already in place, then if we're to trust in the word of Yahuwah, we have to believe that that's going to happen, or that would have happened. But see, Pharaoh was thinking he was his own entity.
Yeah.
Well, he thought he was a god.
He thought he was a god,
Now,
and he thought he could overcome this or overpower the God of the children of Israel. And the reason I'm kind of focusing on this right now is this is the way it's going to be in the future. This is what Revelation is about.
yeah.
It's about the raising up of the anti-Messiah, the beast, and the false prophet, because that's what's here. This is what we are seeing. We're seeing a form of that, which is going to happen in the end. And the false prophet and the beast are going to be given authority. Now, there's a lot of people that don't really follow what I'm about to say, is that they got their authority from the Most High. They got their authority from Yahuwah. They didn't get it from Hasatan. But yet, in the majority of people's thinking is that Hasatan is the one that's doing that. It's the battle between
Good and evil.
good and evil. Satan and, well, it depends on if you're in a certain denomination, it's the battle between Satan and Yeshua. And that goes back to good and evil. And so we have to understand that when the false prophet, when the beast comes on the scene, that's all in Yahuwah's control and authority. There's nothing that's going to happen that is outside of his realm or his, what he has already determined what was going to happen. And so, as I've said before, if you want to understand Revelation, you need to understand Exodus first, because this is where it's really the pattern is established. It's in the book of Exodus,
Yeah.
and this is a major pattern. This is going to happen again, and so the whole phrase "I have made his heart." We could use the word "made" there, or you take the word "made" and say, "I created his heart to be that way." All right. And not only that, but the hearts of those that are surrounding him, his servants, those that may have authority within his life to speak into certain things, which would be very few if there was.
It's just the way Mr. G. Howe, he created Satan for that purpose.
Exactly.
His purpose. So Pharaoh was the same way.
Right. And so, then the question comes up, why? Why does he do this? Well, verse 2 kind of gives us a little indication. So let me read that for you. It's he does this so that you may relate in the ears of your son and your son's son that I made a mockery of Egypt and my signs that I placed among them, that you may know that I am Yahuwah. And this is one of the indications in this account of the Exodus where I get that, he came to reveal himself to the children of Israel. Yes, he's going to use their surroundings to do that, just like it's going to happen in the times when Jacob's trouble comes on. They are going to get those that are surrounding them are going to be used to try to get their attention towards Yahuwah. Okay. It's hard to really fathom that or understand it, but that's the pattern that I see is going to happen. But the timing is in Jacob's trouble. The timing is, kind of critical in relationship to what we're seeing here, or what we have seen in the Torah portions leading up to this particular time. Okay, but the main purpose, this is what one of the purposes is so that you would relate this story throughout the generations. That's what's meant by tell your son and your son's son, tell them this, so that this continues on. As I've said before, the Passover account, as well as, like the flood, it's recounted, it's retold throughout many, and has been throughout many generations, in many nations, as a remembrance. Okay? And so, as it goes down, and then we get to the ninth plague. Does anybody have any questions on what I've just said? Any thoughts? Okay, so as we go on to the ninth plague, the plague of darkness, could it be that the Father brought this along because was there darkness in the land of Goshen? No.
No. They had light.
They
Didn't
had
say
light.
how, but it said they had light.
Right.
In their dwellings, I think
So-
it was.
Could it be that this is the time, these 3 days and 3 nights, so to speak, these 3 days, that the children of Israel took to get prepared to leave? They started staging themselves to leave Egypt. Something to think about. When we do a move or something, we pack everything up.
Yeah.
We get it ready so that when it's time to move, we can just load it up. We anticipate, we know what's going to happen. We know what's going to take place in our moves. Well, I believe the children of Israel knew what was going to happen. And they, personally, my opinion is that they were getting ready. They were getting ready to leave. And so, and they were told, go get, provisions and basically, pilfer or take the things of the Egyptians. This all could have happened during this time. Because in my mind, children of Israel would have had night goggles on. But that's just me. But I mean, just to think about it. I mean, just because they were told to be ready when we get to the part of getting prepared. To
So the darkness was 3 days. Huh?
3 days.
Mhm.
Yeah.
David,
Yeah.
isn't this pattern going to be different during Jacob's trouble? Because aren't we directed to leave right at that time, not to go back for anything? Not
Yes.
to turn around?
Yeah. See,
So
and that's a good point, Marla. I'm glad you brought that up because in Jacob's trouble, if we know, now this is just me again, if we know what's going on or what's going to happen, then it's like we just don't have time. It's kind of like the fires that just happened. I mean, you got to get out. There, you go back, you're going to get burned. You're going to become a part of the tribulation, the trouble. And so it's like this is one that's going to be prepared, be ready, get out. And so so that's going to happen in Jacob's trouble. Let's go. When you see it, when you hear it, when you know that it's time, get out. Don't go down to get anything out of your dwelling, or don't be concerned about, as Lot's wife was. Don't be concerned about the loved ones you're leaving behind. Now that's going to be the difficult part.
Yes.
That is going to be the real difficult part.
Yep.
And so, but then we just have to put everything into Yahuwah's hands. I mean, basically, as I've done with my families, they're yours, Father. They're not mine anymore. You take care of them. Because I know, I've come to the realization, the Father's going to do what He has already determined to do with my loved ones. I mean, to some degree, even speaking about it now, there's grief in my heart. However, there's a greater purpose that is ahead. Okay. All right. So we go through the locust, we go through the darkness, we come out the other side of the darkness, and now the final stage here. So I want to do chapter 11, the first few verses. So if somebody would read verse 1 of chapter 11, I've just got a few things to say there.
Yes, verse 1.
Yeah, verse 1.
Yahuwah said to Moshe, I will bring one more plague on Pharaoh and on Egypt. After that, he will release you from this place. When he releases you, he will drive you out completely from this place.
Okay. What's interesting, and years ago, when I came across this, I focused on the word complete, because in the Hebrew it says, it shall be completed, whereas what you just read is
Drive you out completely.
that you will be driven out completely. Okay, and it can be translated, it can be interpreted both ways, but when I kind of looked that up, it shall be complete. That means this is the end of what's going to happen. There will be no more after this. In relationship to being driven out of Egypt. Because that's what this whole focus has been about, is about getting the people out of Egypt. And so, getting Pharaoh to push them out, getting the people of Egypt to push them out. This will be the final thing that takes place. Now, before I go any further there, I want to read John 19, verse 30. John 19, verse 30. And this is Yeshua speaking.
Hold on.
Okay. While I'm holding, I'm going to take a little sip of water.
There you go.
And I think all the translations pretty much read this way. If everybody's ready, verse 30, chapter 19 of the book of John says, when Yeshua therefore had received the sour wine, he said, it is finished. That word is complete. It is finished. It is complete. It is done.
Accomplished is my...
It is accomplished, yes.
Okay.
Meaning what I have come to do has been done. It is finished. And it says, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. The very words in Exodus could be, and this is the way I interpret it, it could be interpreted the same way. The final act of
What he was doing.
The
final act of what Yahweh was doing.
Yeah, the final act of what he was doing to get his children, get the children of Israel out of Egypt, was the death of the firstborn. He says, this is what's going to complete or accomplish what was put before. And this is it's the only verse, that in John that I can point to that kind of fits this whole pattern. It is complete. It is accomplished. It is finished. Meaning there's going to be no more. This is it. This is what's going to lead to something else. Okay. This act is going to lead to something else. The beginning of something else.
So the death of the firstborn is the end of something, and the beginning of something else.
Right. It's the because that's when then they leave Egypt, and I'm going to bring this up now. It just popped into my head. But when you look at timekeeping within the scripture, it's always basically around either the life of a human like Noah or Abraham. Time is based on their lifespans. And then time is based, so with the Exodus, now time is going to change in regards to them coming out of Egypt. Now what I mean by that is when we get into Numbers and on, then it's always about them coming out of Egypt. And that's the remembrance that we're to have. And as you go through the scriptures, as you go through the Psalms, when you go through the prophets, it relates to them coming out of Egypt. So that's their time frame. It's that time of them coming out of Egypt, and then the time changes. Anybody want to take a guess when the time changed? When the timekeeping changed?
Daylight saving time?
No. Well, the calendar used to be AD and BC after the death of Yeshua, so used to be.
Yeah.
Now they changed the names,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Good one, Rosemary.
I had a gold star.
Well, I don't know about that. Because that doesn't answer my question. Time?
You mean when they went into the land of Canaan, it changed again?
No, it didn't.
Okay.
They were always referring to coming out of Egypt, even up into Yeshua's day.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to answer the question that I just asked. The time changed at verse 30, chapter 19 of John. The death of Yeshua. Now we come into
The kingdom.
no, we don't come into the kingdom. We come into the end of times.
Okay.
Okay? And then when the kingdom comes, then we'll come in, that will start, when the kingdom is here on the earth, that will start the kingdom age.
Okay.
Okay? So that's what we're looking forward to. Because see, right now we're in the age of tribulation. If you want to put a term on it. And that's been
Different
going,
seasons.
huh?
Different seasons.
Well, yes, different seasons.
Each one is a different season
Hmm.
for us.
But this is even though the tribulation for the children of Israel started when they were forced out or put out, when the northern kingdom was put out into the world, they were put into tribulation. But we don't get we don't have hardly any information on that. When Judah was taken off into captivity into Babylon, now we've got all sorts of information about that. We've got all sorts of writings about that. And then when they came back, we have all sorts of writings about that.
But they were still in the age of coming out of Egypt at that point, because you said it changed
It changed when Yeshua came,
when Yeshua,
when he came in the flesh.
when he came in the flesh.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And that goes back to what you were saying earlier. That's where because Christianity was, when the time change sort of
Yeah.
took place, would be from BC. BC doesn't mean before Christ. AD doesn't mean after death. Because it's actually BC, E,
Well,
A-
yeah, now.
yeah,
They
yeah.
changed that.
Well, that's again, our Christian brethren, changed some of that. But it's before current era and after current era.
Yeah, and then AD, I know AD is Anno Domini. What is
That comes out of the Catholic Church.
I know.
Oh, that's where that comes from.
Oh.
What, Martha? I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Yes, it sounds like they're putting me on the line.
Okay. So just a little extra understanding there.
But Martha said, what does the BC mean?
BC is before current, but they dropped the E, before current era.
Right.
So it never met before Christ?
No.
Oh.
Okay,
Huh.
well,
That again, our Catholic brethren changed that when they wanted to focus in on Yeshua, on Jesus.
Okay. Oh, they changed it. Okay.
Now, if somebody else has any other information, what I found out there, let me know.
Okay.
And so, but then our Jewish brethren, they've just kept straight line
Yeah.
accounting of years and days and stuff. So.
Did they actually keep good track? Or
You know,
not?
I trust my Jewish brethren than some of the others.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
But as archaeology has gone along, they've been able to pinpoint some things and find out some things, and
Uh-huh.
especially current or recent.
So they're closer to the time.
Yeah. But again, that's just my timekeeping, how I've broken it down in my studies.
Mm-hmm.
But when we come to the kingdom, when the kingdom comes, then we'll be in the kingdom age. Okay. And then time will start from that. The time period will be based on that. Okay. There was something else here. Just to kind of validate what said earlier, in verse 3 of chapter 11, Yahuwah granted the people favor in the eyes of Egypt. It's talking about the children of Israel. And moreover, the man of Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the eyes of the servants of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of the people. Meaning, they believed in what he was saying about Yahuwah. They believed in that.
Okay, where are you?
I'm in verse 3 of chapter 11
Oh, you're- okay.
I'm back in Exodus.
All right,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I thought you were doing Exodus. I thought, put it in 3.
I'm
Okay.
jumping around on you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
All right. Now, let's go to chapter 12 of Exodus. And let's see. Because now what I want to focus on is.
Okay.
Well, let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and read verse 14. This day shall become a remembrance for you, and you shall celebrate it as a festival for Yahuwah, for your generations, as an eternal decree shall you celebrate it. And I think, does anybody's translation read differently in your understanding than what I just read? This day shall become a remembrance. And I already talked about a little bit about that. This is one of those, the Exodus and the story of Moses and Egypt, been made into many different things. So the remembrance of what we're reading about is still being promoted throughout the earth in a variety of ways. So predominantly, pretty much, I would say maybe at least half of the planet is aware of this account that's going on that we're studying. And so it's like what the Father wanted to take place and to happen in the future is still happening. It's still relevant. We're going to be celebrating the Passover. We're going to be celebrating the Exodus here in a couple of months or so. And we're supposed to celebrate it. That's the children of Israel. Let me put it that way. The children of Israel are the ones who are to celebrate it, who are to really be the ones to remember it. And it's to pass down and be passed down through the generations. Remember what I read in chapter 11. So you can tell your son and your son's son. Okay. Sons is just pointing to the generations. It doesn't tell you how many generations. It just says you're to do this throughout your generations.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in my heart that the purpose is and the reason is so that when we get to the time of the Jacob's trouble, we will have, or those people will have, an understanding,
Right.
and or will be able to put kind of time schedules on things when they see certain things happen. Not like what people are doing today when they see something happening, they go, oh, okay, this is it. It's just like I saw on the news last week that the doomsday clock now is within 8 seconds or something of total destruction.
How long are those seconds?
Well, and see, that's it. It's the whole thing, because I remember, I can't remember how many years ago, in the 70s or 80s or whatever. In the 70s, it was getting down to 3 seconds or something, and
Oh, they must have reset it then.
yeah, and in the 80s or in the early 90s, they backed off of it.
That's
So now they're and it's all determined on what's happening in the world. That's how men that are in charge of that determine that. But you get people that look at the doomsday clock, and that's what it is. It's a doomsday clock when man is going to destroy himself. That
We're already doing that.
Oh,
yeah, well,
we're doing that really well.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all part of what it is to try to predict, when this is going to come to an end. And so, and I remember, just now that the fires are taking place, I'm just going to kind of get off here just a little bit, but the fires that are taking place in that have taken place down in the LA area and, Altadena and Pasadena and those places. I remember a couple of years ago that somebody talking about the fires in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beginning of the earth being destroyed by fire. And we know it's going to happen. We know.
How's the fire from Hawaii gonna jump anywhere over the ocean?
Somebody just took a.
Those embers.
Yeah,
Going
somebody
through the air.
No,
Embers stay hot for a while, but
if you're in a particular denomination,
I know.
you're going to hear these things and you're going to believe these things.
But there are people.
And then they use
my
that.
one daughter had a boyfriend, and he was not brought up in any religious aspects, and he went to public school, and they told him about the Big Bang and stuff like that. He didn't believe that. He said that's not even possible. He didn't believe any of that
Yeah.
stuff, and he had no biblical background. So I think there are people who are going.
Well, yeah.
Wait a minute.
But the ones, is what you just said, Martina, but the ones who drive, those are the ones that have the voice and the media, and
Right.
they're the ones that are driving all of that.
And those are the ones you need to go, just be quiet.
Well, we're going to read something here in a few minutes that deals with the very thing that we're just talking about now. And so, because the voice of reason is not easily thought about or believed. And so, but nonetheless, here it is. This time that we're reading about is to be remembered, and it's to be lifted up. Now, I wrote something this morning in my notes, and this is my opinion. And what I wrote is, this does not tell us to reenact the original Passover. This is not telling us to reenact the original Passover.
Yeah, because of people who believe that.
Well, and I've been in association with people that feel like they've got to do the very same thing that happened at the original Passover. No. It's a remembrance of what took place. Number one, the death of the firstborn and coming out of Egypt, the deliverance part.
Well, in a way, when you reenact it, you're like celebrating the devastation of what people went through.
Yeah.
So if you remember something, it's like it's almost like a memorial, like you're saying, this happened, we're sad.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but it's just a remembrance. It's not the actual doing of or reenactment of the Passover, to the degree that it speaks about here in Exodus.
Right. About killing the lamb,
Yeah,
putting
killing
the
the lamb,
blood on the
bringing
door,
it,
the
yeah.
whole 9 yards. And the death of the firstborn it ain't gonna happen again while you're doing that.
Right.
Hopefully.
Okay.
There's days.
That one.
There's days that may happen. You never know.
All right. The Haftarah portion, I'm going to go to that. So I want you to turn over to Jeremiah chapter 46. I just want to deal with a part of it because to tie it into what I've just said and what I've talked about. So Jeremiah chapter 46. Now just to kind of set this up, Jeremiah is in Egypt. This is at a time when Judah is being taken off to Babylon. And so Jeremiah is in Egypt when he writes these words. In fact, there are already some of, if I remember right, Judah, a good portion of Judah has already been taken off into captivity. Yeah, because we'll read this in verse. I'm gonna start in verse 25. So let's sort of set the stage. Okay.
25.
Yeah, verse 25, chapter 46 of Jeremiah. Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, says, Behold, I am going to punish Ammon of Thebes and Pharaoh and Egypt along with her Elohims, her gods, and her kings, even Pharaoh and those who trust in him. Okay, this is the tie back to our Torah portion. This is one of the tiebacks. You know, that kind of. So, verse 26 I shall give them over to the power of those who are seeking their lives, even into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and into the hand of his officers. Afterwards, however, it will be inhabited as in the days of old, declares Yahuwah. Now, just as to think about the progression here, the Father is doing this. He did this when he had Nebuchadnezzar, when he had Babylon come in and take out, those elite group of Judah. He had this. This was done on purpose. This was done for a reason, and it was as a little bit, or not a little bit, but it was punishment for them, not doing the works or not keeping the commandments of Yahuwah. But he didn't take them all out. He didn't take all of Judah out. He left a good portion of them there. Or he had a good portion of them left there. Let me put it that way. So now verse 27. However, as for you, O Jacob, my servant. Now I want you to see the wording here. Jacob, my servant. So he's talking to the physical part of these people. He's talking to them in the physical sense. When we see the word Jacob, it's talking about the physical part of the children of Israel. But then he says, Nor be dismayed, O Israel, for see, I am going to protect you or deliver you from afar. It should be the word deliver instead of the word save. I'm going to deliver you from afar. Again, this ties us back to the Exodus. And then to verify that or validate that, and it says, and your descendants from the land of captivity. And the next part, or the next stanza, is what I've been talking about for several years. And Jacob shall return and be undisturbed and secure, with no one making them tremble. Okay, I just want us to really understand that verse. This is just one of many verses that he's saying he's going to bring Jacob back. Now this is referring to the tribes, all the tribes. This is how I see this. Even though it doesn't have the terminology, the sons of Jacob, I'm going to go ahead and use the 12 tribes. All of the tribes of Jacob shall return and be. Now, mine has the word undisturbed. Does anybody have it? I know somebody has a different wording.
So where is this in
27? 27.
Descendants from the sons of Jacob will return. Secure.
Secure, yeah. Meaning they're going to be living in security. And when I've talked to Jewish brethren, especially teachers and rabbis, this is what they're looking for.
Right.
To them, this is going to be the kingdom here on this earth, is when they are living in the flesh, in security, because Jacob is dealing with the flesh. And they're going to be living in the land of Canaan, with security, in security. Nobody's going to be coming against them. Okay? Then verse 28. O Jacob, my servant, Do not fear, declares Yahuwah, for I am with you. For I shall make a full end of all the nations where I have driven you. This is why they're going to be able to live in security. Remember, I've talked about the children of Israel. I've talked about the children of Jacob. They're going to have authority. They're going to be respected as having authority and in power in that time, in that day. They are going to live in peace. Live in peace from, being overrun by their enemies or people bombing them, or, there'll still be those that want to destroy them. There'll still be those that, don't want to see them have that type of security. However, it's not going to be like it is today, or like it has been all, these thousands of years. So this is why the declaration comes, Jacob, my servant, do not fear, for I am with you. Now, he says he'll make a full end of all the nations. But here we go. Where I have driven you, yet I shall not make a full end of you. Now, before we read the last two stanzas, let's just kind of look at that verse. I shall not make a full end of you. See, to me, that is saying there's going to be a remnant. You will have a remnant. And that is coming in this time period. And in my mind, I put it towards the end of this time period. Because it's to me, this is going to be dealing with, within Jacob's trouble. This is the time of Jacob's trouble. I will not make a full end of you. But Jacob's trouble is the next stanza, to the purpose of the next stanza. I shall correct you properly. Now, how does yours read there, Martina?
I will indeed discipline you.
Okay.
But only in due measure.
Okay, I will indeed discipline you correctly.
Yeah.
That's how I would put that. And necessarily, the way it needs to be done, I will correct you. See, this is what Jacob's trouble is about. The correction of the children of Israel. Why? Because they have become complacent in their security, in their land. They have become complacent. They have walked away, just like they have done a multitude of times. They have walked away, or just nonchalantly, just kind of gave Yahuwah acknowledgement, so to speak.
Lip service.
Lip service, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Lip service. Because it's interesting the way this ends in verse 28. By no means leave you unpunished. Leave you unpunished. And that's 52-53 in the Hebrew. I'm going to look it up right now real quick. That is Nasag, is the way it is. All right, yeah. Departing away, or remove. Meaning, I'm not gonna turn you away. I'm not gonna put you away, because when the children of it, when the northern kingdom, they were taken out, they were put out. When Babylon came in and took Judah, and this is what Jeremiah is dealing with. Babylon came in and took Judah. They took him out. They took him away. He didn't put all of Judah out. And see, and what Jeremiah is writing about is futuristic from where we're at today. I am not going to put you out. That's not gonna happen again, okay? And that's part of, when we go back to Revelation, when we go back to some of the instruction that Yeshua gave, just as what Marla brought up earlier, you know, when you see it happening, don't go down to gather up your things. Just get out of there. But this isn't going to be, you know, that's a warning. When you see these things, get out of there.
Right.
That doesn't mean I'm going to have somebody come in and take you out. Because when the house of Israel was taken out, they were taken out. When
Right.
Judah was taken, he had somebody come in and take out them.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen this time. Because the children of Israel are going to have to trust in what he is going to be doing.
So no one will remove them. They will just hear they need to go.
Yes.
Hmm.
And only the ones who hear the word of Yahuwah are the ones who are going to be going.
Hmm. And that's in the land of Canaan.
That's in the land of Canaan. Because if you know the progression of Jacob's trouble, does anybody want to take a guess of what happens to the land?
Filthy critters.
Yes, it gets burned up. The land of Canaan gets burned up. That's the fire we need to understand. And so if you don't get out, you're going to get burned up. That's the warning.
So they'll somehow know they need to leave.
Yes.
Just an off the wall question, but will the animals be able to get out too?
Yeah, I believe that they will be.
Okay.
There's, you know, as Amanda asked about the animals,
Exodus, huh?
there's something indwelled in the animals themselves that have a sense of when danger is coming, and they will flee.
I'm just wondering, because like with the flood, he only saved 2 of each kind, except
Right.
for the clean ones. He saved 7 of each kind. But it's just a wonder, will there be a remnant of animals too? Will some be lost? Will some...
Okay, well, and that's a good question. That actually is a good question. I never thought about that, but but with the flood, everything.
Right.
If those that weren't in the ark, they were gone. But here, when it says flee, get out of there, we will know where to go. We will know, and our animals will too. Again, they still have that sense within them.
That's just me thinking.
Yeah,
'cause
no,
Morty likes the animals, and it's just...
No, there'll still be animals. They'll still be there. But
Yeah.
the purification of the land of Canaan has to take place. And we read that in some of the, like in Amos. Is it Amos? No. Yeah,
Okay.
Amos and the other, some of the other writings. It talks about it. It's written for us. And if we put it in the correct progression of things, then we get, to me, we get a better picture. But there will be those who will be punished. And so,
Well,
Okay,
those
huh?
that don't know, that don't leave, they'll be killed.
well, let me kind of address that, because,
I didn't hear what she said. What did?
okay, say it again, Martina, I'm gonna point
So, when the call comes out to leave, those that don't leave, that don't know they're supposed to leave, they'll be burned.
yeah, or if they just don't believe that it's time to leave.
Yeah.
There's
Or
gonna
if
be
they
that
don't
too.
believe,
I mean,
yeah.
you're gonna have all sorts of scenarios.
Oh, okay.
This kind of reminds me of the movie Schindler's List
Uh-huh.
and the book that I read from this man's mother. She wrote it when they were in Germany. That a lot of them did not believe that the Germans were going to do this to them,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and some of them fled, and they didn't.
Yeah.
But then the mother's relatives got them out, and I just read the first book where they were in the boat coming out of Germany.
Out of Germany.
Right.
Yeah, I watched Schindler's List years ago with my girls.
So, it's just something for us to be aware of, to understand, and, you know, just kind of, if we have the opportunity, is to pass this on to our families. You know, but that's difficult, because it's gonna be, I know my grandkids and, you know, my great-grandkids aren't cognitive of some of these things yet, but
Yeah.
I you know, it's like, it's not gonna happen. You know, it's not gonna take place. But see, we've had enough warning. It's a matter of putting it together and making sense of it.
Well, earlier you said that, not to go back to what you were talking about earlier.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
You said that the Israelites probably were packing during the 3 days of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they have 14 more days to pack too?
No.
So was that 3 days within that 14 days of the first month?
Well, okay, it wasn't. See, that's the you know, the unknown is how long each one of these stages took.
Well, I'm just saying, if they knew when the first day of the first month was,
Right.
and they were told by the 14th day they would be leaving, didn't they have 14 days to pack?
They would have, yeah, they would have. But but it's okay.
Or are you just saying
All of it-
because they
Well, they
weren't
said they
working
left
at that
it
point in
early.
time?
All of us have moved,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not fun.
and it's hard to get started to pack.
It is.
And so then you got to really do the push at the very end when, I've got to get out of here.
Oh, like
yeah.
mom and
And
dad
then you-
quit packing one day.
You
Yeah.
forget things. And you go, when you unpack and go, oh,
Or you find
I
out,
left that.
or you find out your wagon isn't big enough.
Oh yes, and you need
That-
2 trucks.
Yes. So, you know,
You need a
so I
second truck
just
with a
think
truck.
that the 3 days was really, the big,
Or
the
you
big
like my
push.
mom, she knew she was gonna move, but still didn't finish packing till
Yep.
the last day we packed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Oh, yeah.
just human nature. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, we had a second truck when we came here, and Al was taking things during the week,
And I remember
and I
that.
took off of work because I thought if I have to pack, I cannot work and pack. This is not happening. I have to pack.
It's probably human nature because it's change. We don't
Oh
Right.
yes.
change that much.
Yes, no, we don't.
But the chaos that is surrounding all of this, we don't put that into play either.
Yeah.
There is a lot of chaos around
Oh yeah.
that's taking place. And so,
Oh yeah, because some people are getting it, some people
Right.
aren't getting it, and yeah.
and that's the warning that Yeshua gives us. He tells us that this is what's going to happen.
Well, see, that makes me think of Sodom and Gomorrah
Mm-hmm.
because their towns were ardent.
Mhm. Yeah, there comes a time when that's the finality. That's this is
Yeah.
complete. When it's going to be complete.
I wonder if he's gonna send messengers to tell some people, let's go.
He's already
Like in
been
Sodom.
sending. Yeah, he's.
I mean, at the time, at the moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, they will be, there will be people that will be, but they'll be pushed off
Hmm.
to the side.
Well, yeah, because when he sent the messengers to Lot, his daughters were engaged to some guys, and they thought, "Hey, you're pulling my leg,"
This isn't gonna happen.
Isn't gonna happen. They
Okay.
didn't believe.
They're not gonna leave the men they love. They're gonna stay there.
Well, actually, Lot's daughter. Well, they left because the messengers grabbed their hands and said, "Let's get out of here."
It's true.
All right.
David,
Yes.
okay, so when we're called to leave everything behind, we'll already be in the land of Canaan, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
when so when you were talking before about we have to leave our loved ones, well, I would think that most of our loved ones wouldn't be with us there anyway, in that area,
And that's-
at that time.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have. See now, you gotta think of this. is when the children of Israel, when the house of Israel is brought back, when Jacob is brought back,
Yeah.
their families are going to come. A lot of the families are going to come with them.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and just like what has happened when people have immigrated or made aliyah back
Yeah.
to Israel, then their families go with them. But as happened even in the aliyahs, some of the younger ones have left. And they've come back. Those that I know of came back to the United States.
Right. Well, see, I can compare some of my all of my family originated in Germany,
Right.
and so some came and some did not. But there was at least 50%, and there are some that are still back there. Actually, there's probably a little bit more than 50% on.
And I think
Yeah,
and I think
both
what
sides.
the Father's going to do in the world is he's going to make turmoil and stuff that's going to cause people to
Yes.
migrate back or migrate over.
Right.
So now it's because
Well,
that's
and when they're called out of the nations,
right.
because not everybody called out of the nations is going to end up in the land of Canaan.
Right.
But they're going to congregate somewhere.
At that point, Israel is still going to be in turmoil with their neighbors around them too, right?
I believe that yeah, at the beginning, yes.
Yes, I mean when the house of Israel called back to the land, right? For wherever they are.
Right. And there is some that are of the house of Israel in the land that know they're of the house of Israel, but majority of the people do not realize.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that we're leaving, for example, America, and we're going to travel to Israel where you're surrounded by many enemies.
Right.
Which is not a move that a lot of people would want to make.
Correct. Yes.
Well, and that's what they did during World War II. They had a lot of them had no place to go, and they tried to get in other places. And there are ones who wanted to go to Israel, ended up fighting when they got there, and a lot of them ended up being killed when they got there because it wasn't safe there either.
A lot of what I'm talking about and we're talking about is speculation.
Right.
But the only speculation I can compare it to is what I have in the scripture.
Right. Yeah.
And
I'm
what's
just
going on today.
going from what I learned from history.
Yeah.
But but if you're his, like
Yep.
Job said, though he slay me, still will I praise him. So
Okay. Well, I kind of started off with, before I got on the phone, that this will be a short one, so I'm going to close this out in prayer. And we'll be 5 minutes short, so. So I'll keep my word. Father, we praise and glory again. Thank you for this time. And I just thank you that you are with us and you're guiding us and leading us in your word and with your word and through your word. And so I continue to ask you to be with us as we celebrate this Shabbat. And Father, you watch over us and our loved ones. We give you praise in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen.